Have you ever been told you think too much? You know, that you're just kind of stuck in your own head, analyzing every little thing. Yeah, it's usually treated like a bug in our system, right? A flaw we need to patch. But what if it's not? What if that incredibly busy, analytical mind is actually a feature?
I mean, it's a feeling so many of us know. That hamster wheel in your brain that just will not quit. So why is that? Why are our brains so often hardwired to replay conversations, dissect every decision, and explore just endless possibilities?
And here's the real kicker. What if this tendency to overthink is actually tied to one of our most valued traits? Well, in this explainer, we're going to unpack the research that reveals the really surprising and honestly pretty contradictory nature of a powerful mind.
Okay, so to get started, we need to wrap our heads around a central conflict that psychologists have noticed. It's a real paradox that sits right at the heart of what it means to have a self-aware mind. It's called the self-absorption paradox, and it perfectly captures this two-sided coin. See, high self-awareness is linked to psychological well-being, things like personal growth and really knowing yourself. But, and this is the paradox, it's also linked to psychological distress, like anxiety, neuroticism, and obsessive thinking. So how can the exact same trait be both a blessing and a curse? Well, the answer starts with how our brains are actually built.
So let's dive into the neuroscience for a second. It turns out our brain's ability to think so much isn't some kind of accident. It's the result of a seriously powerful evolutionary upgrade. I want you to think of your brain as a super high-tech flight simulator, but for life. Neuroscientist Georgi Buzaki and his team talk about how our brains developed this incredible capacity to go offline, to completely detach from what's happening right here, right now, and instead run these complex simulations of the past, the present, and the future. And this ability didn't just pop up overnight. It evolved. Way back when, brains were basically just simple input-output machines. A stimulus comes in, a reflex goes out. Easy. But over time, more and more complex loops got added between that input and output. And that allowed for more delayed, more thoughtful responses. And eventually, these loops got so sophisticated they could just generate their own activity, completely on their own, without any cues from the outside world. And that, right there, is the birth of internal thought. This cognitive vicarious behavior, as he calls it, is our superpower. It's our ability to play out what-if scenarios in our heads. It is the engine of human planning, of creativity, of foresight. But, and you can probably see where this is going, it's also the very same engine that powers worry and anxiety. It's an incredibly powerful tool, and how we use it, well, that matters a lot. So here's the crucial point. This powerful simulation engine inside our heads, it can run two very different kinds of programs. This is where we get to the real difference between productive deep thought and that destructive cycle of overthinking. Psychologists call this the split between reflection and rumination. When our self-focus is reflective, it's mindful, it's curious. We gain self-knowledge, we solve problems, we come up with amazing ideas. But when that exact same self-focus turns into anxious rumination, it becomes a negative feedback loop. We get stuck, we amplify threats, and we become totally paralyzed by obsessive thoughts. It's the same engine, but a totally different destination. And there's actually a name for the amazing cognitive style that comes out of that healthy reflective path. It's called integrative complexity. It's the ability to hold multiple, even competing viewpoints in your mind all at once, and then synthesize them into a more sophisticated understanding. It's literally the opposite of black and white thinking, and it's a huge key to better decision-making. Okay, now we are getting to the absolute core of it. We've seen that the brain has this powerful simulation engine that can be used for good or for ill. But is there a direct link between that engine's horsepower, our intelligence, and its tendency to just veer off into anxiety? Now get this. This is a pretty stunning hypothesis from a 2012 study. The idea that these two traits, one we see as our greatest asset and one we see as a major liability, might have actually evolved together, hand in hand. So let's look at the evidence they found. So the first thing they found was kind of shocking, actually. In their study, they compared patients with generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, to healthy volunteers. And the GAD group had significantly higher average IQ scores. Now hold on, this doesn't mean anxiety makes you smarter, but it was definitely the first big clue that there might be a really deep connection here. So the researchers dug deeper. They looked at brain activity using spectroscopy. And this is fascinating. They found that both higher IQ and higher worry were associated with lower levels of a specific brain metabolite in the brain's white matter. Now, what they think this means is that it's a sign of a highly active neural system. Basically, it's like both intelligence and worry were running on the same high-performance hardware and draining the same battery.
And here it is. This is the big aha moment of the whole thing. This is where the paradox just becomes crystal clear. For the patients who already had GAD, a higher IQ was directly correlated with more severe worry. The smarter they were, the more they worried. But for the healthy volunteers, it was the complete opposite. A higher IQ is correlated with less worry. It's the same trait, intelligence, acting in opposite ways depending on the person. High intelligence can be a tool to manage and solve worry, or it can be a tool to amplify it into a hurricane.
So, what in the world do we do with all this information? How do we take this understanding and actually apply it to our own busy minds? That brings us to our final section.
Okay, the most crucial point is this. We need to completely reframe what overthinking even means. It's not a bug. It's a feature. It is a very, very powerful cognitive tool that just happens to come with both incredible potential and some significant risks. You know, having a fast processor is a huge advantage, but it also means things can go wrong a lot more quickly if you're not steering it properly.
All right, let's just sum up the key takeaways from all this. Number 1, your brain is an incredible what-if simulator, and that's a feature, not a bug. It's what lets us plan and create. 2, this powerful simulation can be steered toward productive reflection, or it can get stuck in a loop of destructive rumination. 3, there's real evidence that suggests a deep evolutionary link between high intelligence and the capacity for worry. And that means ultimately the goal is not to stop thinking. It's to become a better pilot for your own mind.
And that leaves us with one final thought. Right now, this unbelievably powerful simulation machine is running between your ears. It can create incredibly detailed blueprints for the future. It can generate brand new solutions to problems nobody's ever solved. Or it can build endless spiraling cycles of worry. The machine is powerful. The choice of what you build with it, that's yours.